Everyone, welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. This is I, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Marquez. And right behind me is Brandon Grimm.
Hello.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us again on the program.
Thanks for having me on
How
the program.
the heck are you, sir?
I'm pretty good.
Are you?
Yeah, got back from a trip earlier in the week, so I'm feeling good.
Well, we'll talk about that on After Dark.
Yeah?
Because I'm going to ask you some questions about your near-death experience.
Please do.
Nobody be surprised, by the way, that Brandon Grimm had a near-death experience, because this will be one of, like, 26 of those.
One of many. I always say, I have a penchant for saying now that, you know, I walked right past the Grim Reaper and I looked him right in the eyes. Like, seriously. Not hyperbole.
Did you say penchant?
Huh?
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I always pronounce it penchant. Both of those are good pronunciations, though. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see us okay. The playback on my end is wonky, so I'm going to reset this and just make sure that we're broadcasting okay. But, oh, you know what? People are responding to things that we're saying, so it looks like we're broadcasting just fine.
That's a plus.
DJ, how is double fatherhood treating you, sir?
Double fatherhood right now is pretty much the same as single fatherhood because all she does is sleep all day.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't do anything.
Okay, spoiler alert, will not stay like that.
No. That's the point of double fatherhood. I do know that it will change. But yeah, I mean, you just feed her and she goes back to sleep. I don't know.
That's good.
Pretty easy.
Now, I know that you've got a newborn and she's only a few days old, but are you finding already that there is a difference in the sleeping patterns from your son? Because every one of ours has been different from day one.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, ours is pretty much exactly the same. They've both been really good sleepers. They just, like, we get up at midnight, we feed her. We get up at 4, we feed her, and she goes back to bed both times, and that's nice. It. It's pretty boring.
Blue Dragon 5 wants to know if Brandon's life flashed before his eyes this weekend.
No, I stayed remarkably in the moment and calm for this one, and
good.
It was very scary.
Is that why you're still here? Is that why you're here today?
I don't know because I've been in so many, man. Like I'm
really glad you're okay, man. I don't mean to bring this up at your expense or anything.
No. I'm more than happy to talk about it because it's insane. But this is the second time I've had this type of spin out. The last one I had was in Chicago with Alex and his then wife in the car.
Yeah.
And it totaled that vehicle.
I remember that, yeah.
We did a 180 and then a 180, and it tore the front end off that car.
Jeez.
And this one I did a 180 and a 180, and I blew one tire completely and almost blew another one. I scraped all the tread off on a spot. I had to limp along in the donut and a damaged tire, and a severely damaged tire and another damaged tire just to get to somewhere in Arkansas in the morning where I could get 2 tires replaced.
So,
to make it home.
Anyway, we'll talk more about that on
later.
The after show this evening. We are doing
if you want to hear the rest of that story, $2 on Patreon. You can listen to the whole thing.
We are going to do Captain Logan After Dark tonight, just about 15 minutes after this show ends. Usually on Thursdays, we try to go for about an hour and then take a break and then come back on Patreon. Depending on what the Super Chats are like and how long-winded I am, we could end up going longer on this show as well. We'll just see how things go. But I promise at least an hour, and then after that we'll kind of see how things are going, and we'll go over to Patreon. And so that's always a live show just for the patrons, but as DJ mentioned, only $2 a month gets you access to that. Patreon.com/Geekvolution. If you've never been to one, maybe consider coming and hanging out with us. It's a good time, and away we go. Let's go ahead and get into this. So right away, I want to go ahead and talk about the big Batman news that came out today. Before I even start talking about specifically what it is, I want to mention we are 2 days before Fandom. Why do we know about this already? That's so strange. I'm assuming that something leaked that wasn't supposed to, and DC got ahead of it, or as close to ahead of it as they could, and said, okay, fine, we'll go ahead and just make an official announcement. Because this is not rumor territory. Like as soon as people noticed that hadn't heard about this yet, the title for tonight's show, they got in the comments before we started broadcasting, and some folks were saying, oh wow, is this real? Is this actually happening? Yes, it is, assuming this movie actually gets made. Because, you know, the Flash has been gone through a bazillion directors that it's very difficult for me not to say, assuming nothing falls through this time. This movie's been through 55,000 directors. Now we've got the director of It. Things look like they're moving along at a really good clip now, so chances are a lot better that this time everything comes together and goes through. But I feel the need to put in that caveat, partly as a joke and partly because there was a part of me that still believes that there is a possibility that this movie never gets made. But it was announced by Variety and then a whole bunch of other outlets as well that Ben Affleck is returning as Batman in The Flash. And the first thing I want to mention is I wish, if it's true that the movie is going to be called The Flash, that it was called Flashpoint, because all the Batman news surrounding this, beginning with Michael Keaton, has been really confusing a lot of people. I saw somebody right at the beginning in the comments, again, before we started broadcasting, who said, and I'd have to scroll back and look at it, but I forget who it was, but somebody was like, do you think that they're leading up to a Flashpoint movie? No, that is what this is. It is, and we've known this for a while, but confirmed once again, in case you needed it, by Variety, that, and again, a lot of other outlets, that this is going to be a loose adaptation of Flashpoint. So we're not fully adapting exactly that story. They say the major beats and elements are supposed to be there. DJ, I don't know how much of that I believe, especially with all of the discussion that Thomas Wayne is not supposed to be a part of it. Like, I don't think you can say all the major Flashpoint elements and not have Thomas Wayne Batman, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think you can say all the major elements anyway, unless, I mean, yeah, that's a weird statement. That's actually what they said.
Yeah, that's what this article I read said. I think that's very strange.
Why would you promise that? I mean, maybe that was something else. I don't know.
But I think that there's that they're creating some confusion in some of the same ways that BVS did, which makes me a little bit nervous for obvious reasons. I don't think a lot of people could begrudge me that too much. BVS, once we got that title, seemed to be throwing way too much stuff all in a pot and giving us a title that sounded a lot like a direct-to-video animated movie. Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we can't just do the Batman-Superman fight in one movie. And, you know, whatever that conflict would be, we have to also try to get everybody and his dog there to say, no, really, we're gonna do our Avengers. It's gonna happen very soon, and this movie might even have a little bit of that for you as well. This feels a little bit like that to me, not necessarily in the way they're crafting the story, because doing something like Flashpoint makes a certain amount of sense right now, but just in the way that they're pitching it to people. It's a Flash movie, everybody. Don't worry, we really are making that. Ezra Miller's going to get his own movie, but it's also this big multiversal crossover thing where we're going to establish that we have a DC multiverse, and we're going to bring back Michael Keaton Batman, and we're going to get the '89 universe from 30 years ago into this world, and don't worry, the relationship that you got in Justice League for the 5 people that liked that, and I'm kidding, by the way, because I think one of the things that movie does okay, I guess, is just those two guys on screen together. Like, I don't like Ezra Miller in that role, but as as much chemistry as you could have between those characters, I guess is there. They've got a couple moments that I like. That moment where he says, "Just go save one." I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
But anyway, So they're saying now, don't worry, we got Affleck, so it's still gonna feel like this world, and you're probably, I would assume, gonna get to see both of these Batmans on screen together, which is the craziest part of this, of course.
That is crazy. So is it Batmans or Batmen?
Well, I have always submitted, Brandon, that it is. Let's see if I can remember which one is which in my whole explanation on this. I think what I've always said is that it's Batmen if it's different guys all wearing a Batman costume, but it's Batmans if it's different Bruce Waynes from different universes coming together.
Did you ever think you'd get this in movie form?
Honestly, I'm not as shocked and dismayed as I might have been a few years ago. I mean, I'm just in a place now where. What do you mean?
Why would you have been dismayed?
Well, I guess I just mean like just you're just baffled, just surprised that it's even happening.
Sure, yeah.
Just because nothing surprises me anymore, and as a response to to Marvel and to Spider-Verse and to the DC TV shows doing, like, I don't know if this happens without the DC multiverse on TV, or at least even as quickly as it's happening. But some of it is just trying to find a way to even remotely make this continuity feel alive and lived in like it makes remotely any sense. I mean, it took 2 movies before the entire continuity crashed and burned and didn't didn't feel like it could all possibly be in the same world. I just watched BVS with Jason this afternoon, by the way, for the first time. Jason hadn't seen it, and last week on the Captain Logan show, we had Jason on, and we let somebody based on Super Chat goal pick something for Jason and I to review together, and what ended up getting landed on was Jason finally watches BVS and talks about BVS, and that was the most fun experience I've ever had watching something with Jason. Jason has, and I don't want to give too much away about what he's going to say, I've never seen Jason laugh that much watching a movie. It was really fun to watch him. But anyway, so I watched that again, and I just kept thinking of stuff in Justice League, and obviously that whole thing is a Frankenstein monster.
I thought you were gonna say obviously.
But that. Okay,
that's weird.
That whole thing was of course a Frankenstein monster, and so it's not surprising that it had continuity mistakes. But I mean, there's so much stuff that's brought up in BVS that we just kind of ignore when we get to Justice League, and so this is going to be a way to soft reboot and to kind of, I mean, that's what I'm assuming they're doing. And the thing is, we've talked about this before, but years ago, we were told that the Flash movie was supposed to be an adaptation of Flashpoint, and then for a long time it seemed like maybe that's not what they were doing, and now we're right back to that plan again. So anyway, as far as Batfleck coming back, doing Ben Affleck again, I can't say honestly I'm shocked. DJ, like I said, it's that whole like nothing surprises me anymore thing. I guess I'm a little bit surprised it's happening in this movie, because I guess I wasn't for sure if they did it that they would get to it in this. There have been a lot of rumors lately that he wants to come back. And this is, of course, the place to do it, because if you're gonna grow the multiverse and everybody realizes that there is one, it's, I guess, kind of cool to have that dynamic with Flash again, so that you can kind of compare it with whatever dynamic he's gonna have with Michael Keaton, who is supposedly supposed to be a major element in the movie. So I'm assuming that they'll have some sort of rapport. Now, I don't know if, by the way, if Keaton being a major element means just, well, he's a big enough plot device, we can say major element. I don't know how much he actually ends up appearing in that movie. But if he gets some screen time with Ezra Miller, I can see why they would think that it would be cool to compare those things, and also to oddly pass the torch, which is a really strange thing to say, of course. But the Variety article, and every other article I looked at on this, is also reporting that this is Ben Affleck coming back for the last time. This is one more hurrah for Affleck. And a lot of people have been either ignoring that or not noticing that part of the article and saying, oh yay, he's coming back, and I'm excited to see what else he does after that. Now, I don't think that necessarily means anything, because if the Snyder Cut on HBO does really well, there's every reason to suspect that they'll like beg and plead and throw oodles of money at him to return. So I don't think that they're saying this is the last hurrah for Affleck means necessarily that it is. But apparently right now, at this moment in time, that is what is intended, is that Affleck's going to come back one more time. And that seems, like I said, kind of like a pass the torch thing. And DJ, the big thing, and we talked about this when the Keaton news came up. And by the way, the last news we had on that was Keaton has been offered a role, and that he's supposed to be in a lot of these, and he's going to keep popping in as kind of the Nick Fury character. But it's never been established for sure that he's accepted. And the articles today are talking about it like it's just a done deal. And I don't know that it is, but it seems like that's very much still their plan, is that the Michael Keaton Batman thing is happening. So the big thing I was concerned about was Michael Keaton's going to come in, and he's just going to do exactly what Affleck did in Justice League. He's just going to build another team. So we're just going to have to watch a bunch of scenes of him going around to different people, setting a team up again. And now, if that ends up happening, it's going to be also through Affleck, who might be helping him do the exact same thing. This is all Affleck Batman does. He just goes to superheroes and helps and gets them to join teams. So I really hope that we can somehow get that out of the way really quickly, and that it's not a big team movie, but more what Flashpoint was, which is you know, a Batman. I mean, I guess he's from the same universe. I almost said from a different universe, but from our perspective, he is. But you know, a Batman trying to help Flash reset the universe, or whatever exactly it is that they end up doing in that movie. But I don't want a Flashpoint Justice League. I need it to not be that. I need it to be... So here's the thing. A Flashpoint movie, if it's done anything like in the spirit of the book, which is, understand, not like my favorite thing or anything. So I'm not saying that we need to be like perfectly true to the source material with Flashpoint. It's got issues. It ain't perfect, but I think it is potentially a good starting place for this. If you stuck with the spirit of what Flashpoint was, it is a Flash story. It would absolutely be a Flash movie. So I'm going to tie this back to what I was kind of bookend this with what I was saying at the beginning, and then I'll start taking questions. It feels to me like people are kind of confused about whether or not this is actually really a Flash movie. And like I said, if you do Flashpoint right, it kind of still should be a Flash movie, but I still think, because the word Flash is in Flashpoint, when you start advertising it, if you put Flash's head all over it, just like we did with DC, it's going to make it really clear that it's supposed to be a Flash story. So I think they should be bandying around right now the title of Flashpoint and not The Flash, like that Variety article showed us. And it should just be, you know, DC's Flashpoint. It's a universe reset, if that is indeed, you know, what they're doing, or at least a multiverse, you know, broadening. And with Ezra Miller's Flash, who I don't love, but that's what they're doing, at the center of it, as the focus of the thing. And we've been, with some other stuff, especially Spider-Verse, kind of primed for this now. People that aren't used to multiversal stories in comics. I don't think you're going to confuse people too much if you just present it as what it is, but trying to make such a big deal out of, it's the Flash movie, it's the Flash movie. And by the way, we cast a Batman, and then a few weeks later we cast another Batman. That is confusing people. They don't understand why that is. All you gotta do is put Flashpoint up front. And I wish they would do that more. Because, like, if you actually start reading articles, they talk about the fact that it's based on Flashpoint. But nobody reads articles. Everybody looks at titles, and everybody looks at, you know, titles of articles. And so
headlines and stuff. People
seem very confused about this, and I don't think it's that confusing. So, anyway. That's my whole spiel. DJ, do you have anything to add to my ramblings?
No, I'm just going to jump right into questions. We have a ton.
Okay, so sure.
We should get rolling on that. And John Early, at the end of your spiel, just gave us $1.
Oh, thanks, man.
For you to stop talking. Thanks. I don't know why he didn't ask any questions.
Hey, that's what the lead-in stories are for, man. It's just I'm gonna give you all my thoughts up front.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing with you. I don't know why. Maybe he was just donating $1 to us. Thanks, John Early. You're the best. First, hold on a second. You want me to? I'll ask questions about this first, and I will get to your super chats tonight. I'm just gonna focus on these ones first. So if you asked a super chat about something else, don't worry.
Real quick, let me answer something that's in the comments here. So Draco Area says it's not confusing at all. And like it's not if you're kind of in the know, but I've been seeing a lot of people say things like, well, how come we keep getting all this Batman news in the Flash movie? Like, that's what.
Well, yeah, but I'm kind of with them. I feel like people who are confused by that wouldn't know what Flashpoint is anyway, so I don't think that's going to help them at all. Like, if they're not going to read the article, I don't think they're going to look up what Flashpoint is.
That's true, but if you put, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just arguing that the branding should be different, but if they called it DC's Flashpoint and they made it clear it was an event movie, then I don't think I think if there was any confusion, it would kind of go away.
Yeah, it would help a little bit. But I mean, I think if people are confused, they're probably going to be confused. Where are we? J Forever King. He says the director of Flash said every DC movie is considered canon for his movie.
Yeah.
What if Keanu came back for Constantine? He said in the past he would.
I think that would be cool, and I think that could fit really well tonally with what they're doing. And I'm also really curious to see how things tonally change. You know, how much of this is going to be an attempt at creating something of like a new House feel, because we've been so kind of splintered and all over the place lately, or if that is going to be the new House feel. The whole point of a multiverse is we can have all these movies of all these different tones. And then that just becomes the, you know, the kind of internal logic and the kind of internal House style. But yeah, no, I'd love to see that. Absolutely. And Constantine's a character that you don't have to worry about getting old, because like he aged real time in the comics for a really long time. That's one thing to mention. I mean, obviously the Keanu Reeves version is kind of a different thing, but like I don't think he's going to come on screen and anybody's going to go, Keanu's too old to play Constantine now. You know, it's kind of different than if he had played Superman or something.
Maybe, but like I don't even think Keanu has even aged though. Is
Yeah.
the thing. Like he can come back on screen 15 years from now and he'd still look like he did when he did Constantine.
That's not true. I mean, he's aged gracefully, but he's still certainly aged.
Yeah, but not as much as the next guy, I feel like.
Daniel Davis says, what if they bring Shaq back as Steel? I mean, that's going too far, but as a cameo, sure.
Funny.
I just hope we're cleverer, more creative, and write better scenes and write less counterintuitive stuff than the CW crossovers have.
Speaking of Shaq, Shaq lives in my hometown. I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
No, I don't think we have.
He lives down the street from my parents, and he's like, I think he's getting ready to be mayor of the town. It's weird. Anyway,
Really?
Carl Maxey, I'm willing to bet Grant Gustin,
That's crazy.
Flash, will cameo in the Flashpoint movie and tie it into his Crisis episode. The alignment is perfect. That's
Yeah,
Carl
there's not any reason to assume that couldn't happen. That at this point is not like a fanboy wish fulfillment kind of thing, because as he's alluding to there, in case you don't know, the Ezra Miller version actually appeared as a cameo in that show, already roping the movies into a multiverse. What's crazy is this is going to introduce the multiverse idea to an audience that didn't necessarily watch Crisis, which is like most people, and I mean, like, you know, that did better for them than anything has in a long time, but like the majority of people didn't bother watching Crisis. And so what's weird is if they do any cameos from the Arrowverse at all, it will confirm that, yes, indeed, the multiverse that they established in the first place, that already roped in a bunch of older shows, you know, TV shows, and even movie stuff, like 89 Batman is already in that, too, because of Knox at the beginning. They're basically going to be acknowledging that the multiverse that was already established is the same one that they are now re-establishing, as opposed to a brand new thing they're doing. And I really hope that some TV thing is in there if their intention is to say everything that's ever been on screen is canonical in our multiverse, just to avoid any confusion. If they don't have anything at all, then we can assume until we see something that it is two multiverses.
Would the classic blue and gray Batman suit from the comics work on screen?
We answered this on Tuesday, I believe.
I gotta read the super chats, man.
But I'm gonna say what I guess I'll say what I done on Tuesday, but a lot quicker. Go look at the timestamps from that episode. But yeah, I think it can. I think it just depends on the kind of tone that you're trying to set, and I think you can have kind of a fun juxtaposition in doing a you know, kind of serious dark Batman story where the color scheme is lighter than the story you're doing. I think you can be I don't think it has to be a really lighthearted thing to still get away with that. You go back and look at comics from the 70s, and it was like that. You know, you had a lighter color scheme, but you had some sometimes, you know, pretty rough and even sometimes somewhat horrific ideas. You know, like Laughing Fish is that color scheme. That story is in its way horrifying. So like would it look good moving? I mean, obviously you got to light it right, but I think you can still, if you're being ultra stylistic with it, tell any kind of story you want to, even with a lighter color scheme.
All right, that is all the specific to Batman super chats. Let me get some pre-writtens.
Okay, cool. And you guys feel free to come back to this topic if there's other things that you want to talk about related to this. I put that on the screen. Batfleck Returns. It's not the only thing that we have to talk about tonight. This will still be an Ask Me Anything show, and you guys can bring the conversation to anything that you want to talk about. But I'm fine jumping back to that topic at any point in the show. What's up?
I'm imagining Adam West doing a really gritty Batman episode, where he just gets in the nitty gritty and he has to really actually punch the Penguin or something like that.
Well, and of course that's been explored in lots of different ways and different things.
Yeah.
It would have been cool if it had ever somehow happened in live action. The big thing that people always wanted, this is for Brandon, who's not in the know on a lot of this stuff. So I mean, we've all talked about this a lot. So everybody bear with me for a minute, because I know this will be a thing you've heard me talk about lots of times. But Brandon, there has. There is for a long time, or there was for a long time, of course, before Adam West passed away. I don't know if you know that. He's not with us anymore, Brandon.
Yeah, I remember when he passed.
Just kidding. You were at the party, I think, that I threw for... It wasn't a celebration of Adam West's passing. It was a celebration of Adam West's life. But anyway, we did a Batman party. But for a long time, a lot of people wanted to see him play Batman in Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. And so it would be kind of a meta way to bring him back into a darker version. So he'd be an old man Batman, and it wouldn't be set in the same universe, but there would be this kind of fun tongue-in-cheek thing where it's like, you have seen him play a young, lighter Batman. Gotcha. And he's now coming back and being
cool.
Yeah, and it would have been great. There was also talk about seeing him play old Bruce Wayne for Batman Beyond, which is now a thing that not only do people want from Michael Keaton, but may or may not be even on the table, even besides this 89 thing. There have been a lot of rumors that he might be playing 2 different versions of Batman very soon. It's nuts. All the talk that's been going on about that kind of stuff right now. But also go back to, and I've shown it to you, but go back to Return of the Caped Crusaders, and you get to see a somewhat evil version of Adam West Batman in animation with punching guys out in really horrific ways, and it's a lot of fun. And surprising that worked. But man, when he puts on the bat brass knuckles, that's nuts. It's just nuts.
The amount of times you keep saying nuts with
everybody saying Batman, let's get nuts.
Yeah.
It is, though. It's absolutely crazy.
So Cinematographic, first normal chat question I saw today was a Batfleck related question. What are the odds that the Flash movie will end with DCEU Flash meeting Matt Reeves' Batman?
Almost non-existent. The news has been, well, because the press releases and the articles that we've seen written have all said constantly, this will have no bearing on the Matt Reeves Batman movie. And you can interpret that in a couple of ways. You can interpret that as it's not going to put anything new in that movie. It's not going to affect that in any way. I have a hard time not interpreting that as, at least for right now, they're not gonna mix things up and confuse anything by also throwing that version of that character in the mix. If anything at all, maybe an after credits thing. Just to solidify, yes, we are in a multiverse, and yes, we recognize that we have all these other newer things that you'd really like to see that didn't make it into this story. I think it would be even more of a shock to people, though, if you did some kind of after credits thing. And I know a lot of people would say, like this is really gimmicky, but it's something of a gimmicky notion in the first place. So I'm not going to begrudge you an after credit scene with a multiverse movie going, here's somebody else that you're going to get to see sometime down the road, especially if it pays off. When you say you're going to, and also the DC movies have not been above this ever since the first couple of doing after credit scenes. When you have Michael Keaton coming in as more or less your Nick Fury. And the first Avengers after credit scene was Nick Fury. So I mean, I would not be surprised if they did an after credit scene. I would make it assuming that they, at that point, have already gotten Joaquin Phoenix to say he's coming back as the Joker, I would do that instead of Matt Reeves' Batman, and I would just have some glimpse of him and go, yep, we're even going to do that, you guys. He'll be in there someplace at some time. That's what I would do to really excite people. And that's not even saying necessarily if I want to see that. I just think it would be really good business.
Another normal chat question from Mutale. You think this Flash movie will be any good with Christina Hodson writing? She did Bop and Bumblebee.
Well, we don't talk about that on this channel, so we're just going to have to move right along. No, should that give me cause for concern? Maybe. But here's the thing about I take no stock ultimately in screenwriter names until I've seen a movie. Retroactively, it's easy to go, well, yeah, this person wrote all these other bad things, and then, you know, you can sometimes see some of their fingerprints and touchstones in the picture where you can go, you know, like, anytime Goyer has a superhero character in a movie do a action figure kind of line like, I'm gonna stop you. Like, when you see that in multiple Goyer movies, you're like, nobody brought that in a rewrite. Goyer must have written that line. And that's why I still submit that even though his name is not on Dark Knight Rises for story credit, he must have taken a pass at that script, because he has Batman say, no, I'm here to stop you. And that's a Goyer line, and neither of the Nolans would write that line. But I digress. So you've got people like Chris Terrio, right? Let's look at this the other direction, who wrote a movie, I forget what it was called, that Affleck directed, I think, that everybody loved, and then he's been responsible now for scripts for movies in genre that everybody really hates. The new Star Wars movies, Terrio's name is on those. I think, right? Is that Terrio? I know. See, now I'm second guessing myself. I thought he had his name on at least one of those. But then, like, you know, BVS is Terrio, Justice League is Terrio, and so, like, now he's got this reputation for being a bad screenwriter. But I promise you, it's more complicated than that. Like, if you could actually sit down and talk to the man and see, okay, you have the credits are different sometimes than what actually fully happened behind the scenes, like who took passes at a thing, who had the final script, what got changed on set, what the director messed with, etc., etc. And so with something like that, like, yeah, I haven't seen a movie that she's written that I've liked, but I don't know how much of that was her fault. It's really hard to say. It's also possible that she could write a not great script and somebody else could doctor it and make it a better thing. So, I mean, like, these things are never solo jobs, or at least they're very rarely solo jobs. They're almost always, very collaborative. So that, it would be really easy to immediately go, oh God, no, not her. But I don't know how much of that's her fault. So I can't say that.
Could you say some of it's forced collaboration?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sure. But also, like, it's hard to say forced when you're paying people. You know what I mean? Like, a lot.
Yeah, but, like, some people may not want other people on their script, but then the studio might be like, that's what I'm talking about. Like,
sure.
We're going to have somebody
But if they're hired in the first place, they're hired to do... The thing you have to understand, Brandon, is that there's not a scriptwriter in Hollywood that doesn't know that they're liable to get rewritten.
Sure, of course.
So there's nothing forced about that. They're like, they know what they're getting themselves into.
That's true.
All right. Well, I'm seeing a lot of other stuff. Besides this, do you want to go ahead and transition?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. And then, like I said, if we see other things as we go along that's still about this, I can definitely transition back and forth.
Okay, before I get jumping into some of the other questions, I want to get to this because I don't know if you remember on Tuesday, there was a glitch in YouTube. The Wolverine 1987 left a super chat. He typed something, but it didn't come through, and it just came through as the dollar amount. So I talked to him in the comments on that video after that video, and he told me what he wrote. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it for him because I felt bad that we didn't see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He says, "Which MCU directors would you like to see write comics?"
That's a good question. I mean, the obvious stuff. I think Gunn is a decent writer, and I think he could write some good comics. It would be cool to see Gunn do some creator-owned stuff. honestly. But even, you know, his mitts on other, you know, kind of kitschy or, you know, more comedic stuff in comics would be cool. I don't know anything specifically. I mean, like you know, guys that have directed, that have guys and girls, I guess, but because we've got some female directors now, but like people that have directed, but we know have good writing chops. It would be fun to get to see them come in and do the characters that they directed in comic book form. And there's precedent for that. Richard Donner has done a Superman story or two, so it would be cool to get, you know, some of that. Obviously, I'd love Joss Whedon to come back to comics. You know, issues people have recently personally had with him notwithstanding, it would be great to see him come back to comics. He has a great run on X-Men. Pardon me. His Astonishing X-Men is great. So he's of course, you know, mine and probably a lot of people's #1 choice. But and of course, you know, he's done comics before. But you know, Gunn would be nice. Beyond that, I don't know. Like, a lot of the Marvel directors seem like, you know, kind of working directors that you might have been surprised even got those jobs, and then, you know, they came in and maybe did a good job, but I don't really think of them a lot. Like, I guess, you know, the Russos are good writers. I mean, like, they could do comics too, certainly.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read some of the chat. Daniel Davis and Carl Maxey say Ryan Coogler.
Oh, well, Shane Black, of course. Yeah, naturally.
And I got to say something about that, because that's hilarious. Utale says Shane Black, and it blocked his question in the chat. I had to approve his comment just because it had the word black in it. I have no idea.
I bet it's because they had the word black in it.
It's a color and a person's name in this case.
Yeah, but it's also linked to a bunch of hot button topics these days.
That's
so
crazy.
Yeah, but this idea that any
censorship.
and I'll just mention this real quick. Yeah, that kind of censorship is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I don't care if I get demonetized or not. If I'm talking about the virus, I'm gonna say coronavirus. Like, I'm not afraid of the word. Okay, because what YouTube says is, oh no, you're profiting off of a tragedy. Like, what the heck do you think the news is? And it's not like you're blocking mainstream news videos or not letting them monetize. It's absolutely preposterous. And even if this is going to sound after darky, I don't care. It bothers me. I don't want to talk about it. Even if your context in a live comment was you know, such and such of a black person, not necessarily controversial or racist or wrong or bad at all. There may be a really good reason to be mentioning someone's ethnicity. What is the problem here? Why can't we say colors? You know? Like,
apparently you can. People are joking around just saying colors in the comment. Black itself is not getting. It's just when it was with Shane. So they must have it like when you say it in a sentence or something. It's so weird.
I don't
know how it works.
I just can't even deal with that. It makes me want to punch myself in the face. Okay, let's
maybe Shane is what they're blocking. Maybe that's the swear word.
I'm gonna see if it blocks it. I guess anything I write probably wouldn't get blocked. If I write swear words, does it block them in my own stream?
I don't know. Do I have to moderate you?
Dark.
Yeah.
We'll try it after dark.
Somebody else just Bella Act just wrote Shane Black. Okay, so I might be screaming. I might be screaming at YouTube for no good. That's a good point. Maybe if you've approved it once, it will continue to approve it.
I don't know, maybe.
But it's the combination. Like, you approve that combination of words. It just sees black with other words, so maybe it.
Mutale got stopped with black man.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Mutale is a black man.
And see if it censors it a second time, or if it's because it's approved. Will it go through the second time?
Yeah. Ooh, and Adam Black, Captain Black Man, all of these things are getting blocked.
Let's just poke the button here.
Mutale, how do you feel about that? You are a black man and you can't write black man, and like, what is going on?
That is something else right there.
Right?
Oh man.
All right, we gotta go.
Hawk Flame got away with black person, which surprises me. Oh man, and Kellen O'Rourke was able to say Black Vulcan. Carl Maxey got his comment blocked. Freaking YouTube sucks sometimes, and I'm a black man, and he got blocked for saying that he is a black man. Come on, our black viewers can't write that they're black viewers in the comments. What is happening? What has happened?
What if somebody's last name contains the word black?
It's ridiculous. Anyway, all right, let's just move on.
That's hilarious.
Somebody's last name is Blackman.
Did you see what he did?
He just wrote Black Martinez the third. Cinematographic wrote that doesn't make any blackened sense, and he got away with that, which surprises me. Okay, we just got to move on.
We could do this all night, and no one after the fact is going to care about this when they're rewatching it. So,
they may, because they may be interested in censorship they didn't know about. Anyway,
no,
go ahead.
Somebody way off in the future who's studying our time will find this in an internet archive and be like, "Oh, that was."
Go ahead, DJ.
Will you? This is from Stussy. Will you be doing the Inhumans pilot and Once Upon a Deadpool for Marvel Mania?
Okay, so we're not gonna do different versions of movies, because we didn't do that the first time around with anything, and we didn't do it with Batmania. So I think just to be consistent, DJ, it doesn't really make sense to do Deadpool 2 and Once Upon a Deadpool, because if you did that, why wouldn't you also do the other Deadpool 2 cut? There are 3 Deadpool 2 cuts.
Are there really?
I'm not doing them all. We're gonna pick one. Now, I was gonna say I don't know for sure which one we're gonna do. No, we'll do theatrical, because I think it still is technically the closest to the perfect cut of that movie, even though the best cut of that movie would be some kind of a combination of the 3, or at least of the first 2.
I want to see that again.
I know this probably doesn't change your mind at all, but Stussy said the reason why he said that was because Once Upon a Deadpool was theatrical, and then the other Deadpool cut wouldn't have been theatrical. But I see what you're saying.
That's actually a really good point, but I'm not going to treat it like a separate movie. And maybe at some point we'll do a commentary on that, but I'd rather do it at Christmas time. Not necessarily Christmas time this year, but if we were going to do that, I'd rather do it at Christmas time.
Christmas Mania, you heard it here first. I'll be working on it.
Don't do that. Stop announcing things. Stop faux announcing things. Quit it.
This isn't April 1st.
Quit. I was going to say that's what April Fool's Day is for. As far as the Inhumans pilot goes, that gets a little sticky because it was sort of theatrically released. It was released on IMAX. I guess that's, well, no, I say sort of. I guess it was a wide release. That wasn't even really a Fathom thing.
Yeah. But is it a movie?
But it's not really a movie. It's a pilot for a TV show.
We didn't do any TV movies in the first round. Like we didn't do Doctor Strange or not Doctor Strange. Nick Fury and all that stuff. So
no, we didn't. That's true. We did a couple direct-to-video movies, but they were released as movies, not TV things. So yeah, probably not on Inhumans. Here's the thing. There's only 13. We've only got 13 movies. If we really wanted to stretch it out, these would be ways to stretch it out. I don't feel the need to do that. I think we should just continue to do occasional addendums when there are enough movies to do them. You get in, you get out, and then if you want to do another Mania shortly after that, you can. This is not me announcing another Mania shortly after that. I'm just saying it could happen if we decide.
Another Mania.
Stop faux announcing things!
It's Mania.
God.
It's one of my favorite things, to faux announce things.
Is announcing manias?
And Inhumans would be fun, I guess, to scream at, but it's such low-hanging fruit. No way. And also, where would you even stream it?
Mania.
I don't think anybody even has that sitting around anywhere unless Disney Plus is streaming it. And I don't think they are, but maybe. But if there's nobody streaming it, nobody has that. They released it on DVD, but I'm sure they sold 5 of those.
Probably actually really expensive. Those Netflix shows are really hard to find too because they only release the first seasons. And
Keller O'Rourke got blocked for Black Mania. I just want to throw that out there.
John Ty, if you were Highfather, would you have traded sons with Darkseid to have peace or continue with the war?
Oh man, wow! No, that's such a you gotta be there kind of situation. That I love those kinds of questions because they all depends. No, not really. That's a pretty specific situation, really. This war that's killing a lot of people is going to keep going, or you let your son die, or you let your son get raised by the bad guy. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, DJ. It's not really what does it depend on, but.
You said you had to be there to understand or to.
What I mean is, well, the only thing it would depend on then would be that I'm actually in that situation and the stakes are real. Because as a theoretical, I find that kind of thing very difficult to get. What I'm saying is, and this is a cliche, but it's true, you never know how you're going to respond to a thing like that until you're actually faced with it yourself, right? So every one of those, and I don't mean to cop out by saying this, I'll give you an answer, but every single one of these kinds of scenarios ends up being exactly the same as it's you and a guy on an airplane and there's one parachute. Like, right. you don't know unless you're there.
Right.
I guess if I'm forced to make to give an answer, it's no. Like, I don't know how to not put my kids first. But if I'm actually in that situation, I don't know, because I mean those stakes are insane. What I want to be able to say is, look, it's not my fault all those people died, even if I didn't give my kid over, because it's just not the right thing to do. And you know, bad guys always like to say, this is on you, you're the one that did this. No, you put me in the situation, you made the choice to give me that ultimatum, it's still on you. All of the bad things that would happen because I went along with you would be on me. That would be me like
an accessory.
An accessory, yeah, going along with you. So at that point, those things are my fault. But if I hang on to my kid and you kill everyone I know, I'm not gonna be blamed for that. You know what I mean? Like who? That's just my opinion. But like, in the moment, if I thought I could actually save people, it would be hard to make that call. And I'm not saying I wouldn't have any guilt at all, but I think, truthfully, it is at the end of the day not actually on me, especially because you can't trust the Darkseid or any bad guy to actually go through with his word.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Most of the time, what they'll do is just kill everybody anyway.
Yeah, and if like you did want, if I gave up my kid and then he didn't do it anyway, I would feel horrible. But if it did the other way, it wouldn't be as bad. So I don't know.
Okay,
it's a bad guy. I'm not gonna trust him.
Did you have anything else to add, Brandon?
No. Well, I guess, people know what they do in these situations, but I recently watched an episode of a show called Mindfield, where this guy, Michael Stevens, who's from Kansas, he does these experiments, and he now works on like the university level out in California, and they actually put somebody in a situation where nobody was in danger or anything, but they actually got people to believe that they were in the trolley experiment, where you can flip the switch and kill one person if the trolley's headed to kill a bunch of people. And like people they were trying to figure out whether people would freeze or actually flip the switch or do nothing, what would happen. And that was really interesting. And I feel like that, that kind of, it shows people what you would do in a situation like that, but that's very hard to set up ethically.
I think it's a really difficult study too, because I am not convinced that it completely tells you what kind of person you are overall, even depending on what choice you make. And the reason I say that is because everybody always says, well, those are moments where you come to understand your own character to some degree, but are there not like circumstantial stuff to consider, and is there not emotional, in the moment considerations, and even like who you are this year versus who you were last year? Yes, I think you, depending on what events in your, because I always say you're never the same person day to day, right? I think Brandon Grimm, it is possible that today you make a choice in that situation, and 5 years from now you make the opposite choice in that situation.
Especially,
and that's entirely possible.
Especially if you've been in the situation before, you know what you did.
Yeah, but even if you've never dealt with that specifically, it's almost a butterfly effect thing. It's hard to say what events in your life would lead to you making the decision that you make.
And the human mind, though, is so complex, and it varies from person to person anyway, that there are categories of people. Not everybody's going to fit into one thing, and not everybody's definition of what's the right thing to do. Some people in the experiment said that they did nothing because it was already on track to happen. They didn't want to be responsible for the decision, at that point. So it's very interesting. And other people said they did it because, they wanted to save more lives, and other people were like, I don't know if that meant, I could be sentencing this guy to die. He might have a family. How do I tell that family, I'm sorry, I made the decision to pull that lever?
Right.
It's really interesting.
All right, well, Michael McAllister is yawning, so we better move on. Go ahead, DJ.
This is from So You Want to Be an Imagineer. He says, I need to know Jason's thoughts. on why did you say that name?
Well, you'll find out because
in the video.
he's going to talk about that when we record it tomorrow, and I don't know when that video will go up, but we're gonna record something on that tomorrow. Yep. Somebody actually, so I put out a call for questions to help prompt Jason, because he hasn't done a lot of reviews, and it'll help him remember things that happened in the movie, and I thought it would be fun to let people participate in it, because this came out of a Captain Logan show thing especially. So I've already gotten a lot of ideas and questions, and if you want to participate in that, just take a look at the social media for the YouTube channel. But somebody put in a list of questions, and one of them was, in all caps, why did he say that name? And man, I could talk about that all day long. Like, no, yeah, why did he? It's the most contrived thing in a movie. Why did he say that name? So yeah, we're totally gonna talk about that. That will be a question that will come up in that video. Why did he say that name?
We got a $2 donation from TH1. Thanks, TH1. And then he got another one right after that when we were talking about Brandon on After Dark, and he says, on After Dark, he doesn't say heck. He says ... Fill in the blank.
What now? What?
No. That's what happens when we answer questions.
Yes.
After
yes. After Dark, we swear sometimes. That does happen there.
I've been trying to swear more on After Dark. Actually, I was thinking about that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make that. I don't want to make the whole gimmick of that show. You go watch. Go watch people that usually are more family friendly swearing all the time. It's
but
just
that's the thing, is
we
I'm
can do with that.
Not more family friendly. I just clean it up for this house.
And you're just so used to not swearing when you're here. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. I mean, I know when to hold it.
Well, sometimes you have to hold it. But anyway, go ahead, DJ.
Like, I have a filter.
All right. We already answered that one. Have you read Dune or seen the 1984 movie? That's from DTWO98.
So I have read the first few pages of Dune, and I can never get into the prose, so I've never finished it, and I have fallen asleep several times trying to watch the movie. That's my answer.
I had the same feeling with the book.
It is my wife's favorite science fiction thing, and she only read it a few years ago on Eric's recommendation. Yeah, I'm handing my wife books and comics all the time. She never reads them, but the first thing Eric hands her, she reads. I'm like, fine. Well, I don't know what that means. But anyway, so she's now been through the whole series, at least the stuff that he wrote, like 3 times now. Like, she reads Dune all the time, and I just can't. And she's told me a lot about all the intrigue and the fascinating culture and the politics, and like, it sounds great on paper, and I realize it's on paper, but I just can't get into the prose. And so at some point I'm gonna force myself to do it. I'm gonna get a couple of like iron rods. I'm gonna hold my eyes open like this. I'm gonna play music really loud. I'm gonna shoot water in my own face, and I'm gonna make myself finally sit down and read that book, because I get bored trying to read that prose. I can't get into it.
Can I ask you a question specifically about like reading books and how you feel about it? Like, if you were to, instead of reading it, like, get it on book on tape, do you consider book on tape reading?
So I first of all, you're like 100 years in the past. Not books on tape anymore, Brandon. It's audiobooks. But who reads books on tape? Anyway,
I still call them books on tape.
No one else does, and you've probably got like teenagers and 20-somethings in the audience that don't even know what you mean when you say books on tape.
Let me at least say I worked in a thrift store, and that's mostly what we got was not on CDs.
Sure, because it's a lot of old people getting rid of all their stuff after yard sales that didn't sell.
Well, it's a book on tape.
Naturally. Anyway, God, Brandon.
I've listened to books on tape that have been copied over and recorded, and they're now on MP3s that I listen to. So I don't know if you would call that
an MP3 anymore, huh?
Anyway, but yeah. So to answer your question, when it's necessary, because I don't have time to actually sit down and read a book, I will sometimes do that. I don't commit things to memory as well. Like my retention with an audiobook is awful. So I avoid it if I can. I'm of 2 minds about the notion. I mean, if you're going to ask questions in the show, you're just going to have to start giving us super chats, Brandon. No, I'm kidding. But I've
offered to pay before. Literally, I did
I'm just kidding. Yeah, you pulled out your wallet. It was very awkward. It
was designed to be.
What I was going to say is, I'm of 2 minds about it. I think it's a good way to get the experience in some way or another if you don't have time to actually sit down and read. I personally don't want to use that as the only thing I'm doing to consume books, partly because of the retention thing, but also because like actually physically reading does a lot of other things for your brain that just listening to things do. And there's a lot of people that just don't like to stare at a page and won't do it, and will only listen to books and swear up and down that it counts as reading. And my answer to that is, it does, and it doesn't. So well, like I'm sympathetic to that, but I also think that actually reading is pretty important. So
certainly,
I don't want to be a prude about it. I don't want to say that it's not reading, but it's not reading. You know what I mean? Like it is and it isn't.
Well, my question was just framed around the fact that you can't get into reading this particular book. Maybe try the audiobook, but also like I don't feel that that audiobooks are reading per se either, because you're consuming the material, yes, but you're not actually physically reading. Another thing about audiobooks is versus like reading a book is your inner brain, like your brain creates an inner voice for whatever you're reading, and you're interpreting it based solely on the words on the page, which I think
I didn't want to get into all of that, but that's what I meant when I said there's a lot of other things that it does for you when you're just
and I
just
think
page.
That's a really cool experience.
Let's go ahead and move on.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about that too. We should talk about it on After Dark someday.
It's good idea.
I guess. John Ty, are we masters of the internet or slaves to the internet?
Both, neither. Yeah, I'm gonna be all cryptic. Hey, DJ, real quick, how many more super chats do we have? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
we're like
fine.
5 minutes from an hour, and I want to make sure that we get through some stuff.
That was actually the only point I was going to, so we covered
about
anyway.
11, 12, but one's not a question.
All right. Would you do me the favor right after this and do a couple of pre-written real quick before we get back to that, just so we're not shafting those, and then I will try to move a little bit quicker if we can. So, it's the same story every night on the Captain Logan show. We need like a third. Don't do that. Don't say that. We need like a third show at this. DJ keeps saying like at some point we're just gonna have to do this all the time, because I mean like it's a great problem to have. But stop announcing things.
All it is Captain Logan shows.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of channels that do that. They're just new shows, and they come on a couple. I mean, this is not a news show, but if we were on 5 days a week, it would become more of that probably. Because I mean, I don't see nothing but Q&A for an hour or two every day. But I would still
two-hour shows. So I mean, if we stopped at an hour, we could do 4 shows easily right now.
Yeah, but we would have to come up with a way to be able to stop at an hour, because the way it's set up right now, I mean, I have been doing last calls and it's not helping. So anyway, it's a great problem to have. I'm not complaining. What I am saying is, there are some problems it causes that it seem to be impossible to fix. It's fun to try. Anyway, the joy is in the trying. So, what was the question again? Would you throw that at me once again? Because I said both. And masters of the internet.
Masters of the internet or slaves of the internet?
I agree with your answer though. We're both
go ahead.
at the same
go ahead.
time. I mean, the algorithms that were created that underpin the internet right now are actually feeding on, like I was reading about this the other day, they're feeding on themselves and giving us just more of the same. And like, if say you look something up on the internet, like we know how to search the internet. We can find, if we choose to, which a lot of people don't these days, that's another story, but if we choose to find the information on the internet, we can find the information on the internet. People are expert hackers of the internet. You can get as encrypted as you want. People still can hack your stuff. Like, this is a thing that, like, they have conventions for this, ethical hacking, all this. We are masters of computers, of the internets right now. But the underpinning algorithms, like stuff that Google uses and, like, even the stuff that Facebook uses, some of the stuff that's coming up right now is, like, you talk about something with your friends while you've got your phone on you, and later on you get an ad for that thing.
Right, we've talked about that a lot.
Like, the algorithms will pull, like, a picture from the internet, and they'll take it and they'll superimpose it over like a picture of a shirt, and then send it to an outlet that puts the ad up. You can buy this shirt. It's literally just algorithms putting this stuff together in a lot of cases, and then they'll print it off, and they've made a profit for nothing. We're slaves, and we're masters.
Yeah. No, I agree with all of that. And that's sort of like being both of those things, or especially the slave part, in something of a subconscious way where like you don't even realize that the internet is driving your life the way that it is. But I also think that in a more proactive, clear, if you're actually self-aware and paying attention, way, you are also still sort of both of those things, right? Where like my answer was going to be more of like on a day-to-day, the way you use it kind of thing. Like all of the science fiction novels in the 60s were right about how we were, and in some ways we already were doing this with certain things back then, how we were going to rely too much on technology, and the technology was going to become too much of our brain, and that and I don't mean as in a cyborg way, I mean in the ways that we aren't like fully using our own faculties because we're relying on something else to do that for us. Does that make you less human, or at the very least, does it make it to where you can't live up to your full potential? So like, there's the ways in which the internet allow us to do things that we never could have otherwise, and then there are the ways that we aren't using our own, a biological computer brain power, and even just our limbs and our opposable thumbs and all the stuff that we have that have allowed us to do amazing things, because we look at the internet and we say either it's been done already, somebody else is doing that, so there's no reason for me to do that, or I can rely on something else to do that for me. And so you have. So, like, we're always talking about social media and about how we become kind of slaves to that, where it's like, isn't it interesting how the internet makes your life both more convenient and way the heck less convenient? Like, everybody needs to put their phones down and not look at them for at least a full day a week, and you'll just see how much more how much more you can accomplish in a day when you're not constantly looking at your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed or whatever it is. Like, we lose so much time, and I think it's really easy to kind of forget that we do that. And yet the trade-off is a lot of the socialization that we do these days ends up being in that way, and like I wish people socialized more in person, but sometimes you can't get people to do that. And so like there are experiences that you would be missing if you weren't looking at your phone, I suppose. And there's also like I see both sides of it, and also there's a lot of information that maybe you wouldn't be getting if you weren't looking at your phone. And so the answer remains to be both in all the ways that we were talking.
Nice. Next up, okay, and real quick, Tom did clarify in a super chat. You said, "How the heck are you?" I was making a joke. Okay. Back up to the top. Carl Maxey, Cap, you have to do a video with Vince, Brandon, and Eric together soon.
Well, I don't have to do anything, sir. No, that would be great, obviously. Yeah, and hopefully at some point I can get more of the gang all together to do something rather. I don't know what it would be exactly. I don't know that the four of us have been on camera much except for like reunion type stuff, Brandon.
Yeah, not all together, but I mean we've all been with each other separately.
Right, but I just mean that foursome.
Right.
I don't know how often that as a dynamic we've really done. But yeah, that'd be
I don't
great.
know that we have, honestly.
I just did a video with Eric last night. We did a commentary that'll come up this weekend or next week, so look forward to that.
Cool.
On the second Matrix, because we've been doing kind of a Matrix series together, so we just got that knocked out. And it is Eric's best performance on anything in a long time. He floored me with some of his ideas talking about Matrix Reloaded. It was great. So everybody listen to that, even if you don't like that, especially if you don't like that movie. Because it's not a good movie.
Should I not get spoiled? I don't want to get spoiled.
It might be the way to watch it, really.
I mean, it only took me 21 years to watch the first one, so in another 21 years, maybe I'll finally watch the second one.
It's not good, but I still really enjoy it for whatever reason. Yeah.
Who, what, and where are nouns? What is your favorite verb? Stay geeky. You are bat-tastic. Keep up the quality content. Can't wait for After Dark. Whoop whoop.
Okay, thanks, Tom. So what was that first question about?
What's your favorite verb?
I mean, this is the heavy-hitting stuff that people
Wasn't
tune
the
in
who,
to
what,
hear.
where thing its own question?
No, those are nouns.
Yeah, who, what,
What's
where.
your favorite
who,
verb?
what, and where are nouns. What is your favorite verb? That was like a.
Oh,
an aside.
okay. All right. My favorite word, my favorite verb. I'll have to get back to you.
Gallivanting.
Nothing immediately comes to me, and it's like that's the definitive thing I have to say. Do you have anything immediately that's great, Brandon?
Not
Do you have anything
mind.
great?
I mean,
Nothing
I know I've coined stuff before because I like to come up with a word that sounds like it would have been the thing to say.
I think he means like real words, you know.
But it could still be a verb.
I mean, I don't know, bamboozle.
That's good.
Bamboozle's good. It's not the best, though. Like, I'm going to be a perfectionist like DJ on this. I'm going to throw out 55 words before I finally land on one that I'm even remotely comfortable with as saying that is the great verb. Because, like, I'm a word guy. Like, I love words. And, like, I don't know. I would be better at this if I was just writing things down. You know what I mean? Like, I would come up with a favorite or even, like, a top 10 favorites a lot better if I was writing right now.
So morphing, since based on what you're writing right now, it's probably morphing.
Yeah.
Or morph. I guess if we're going the straight verb. Anyway, John Ty, will there be a day?
Stop announcing things. I have
verb mania,
dude. I have not publicly announced that. Stop it.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. John Ty, will there be?
Oh, I'm sure they can't put it together.
Yeah, it's the 90s X-Men character.
No chance they can put that together.
The same name. Goodness, this show is.
I've never ejected DJ from a call
I've ever done. Yeah, I think this would be the night. John Ty. Verbomania.
Verbomania. Good one.
Thanks, Noah.
Verbomania.
Will there be a day where robots have rights of their own? And is that a good thing?
I mean, we talked about the AI thing quite a bit. It's just tough to say if we'll ever get to the point where we would consider an AI a self-aware being. At the point where we get to that place and that being is capable of choice and has a sense of right and wrong, I think the only moral thing to do is to give that being those rights. That is the Star Trek in me talking. But you know, all things being equal, like you have to get to a very specific kind of set of circumstances before I would say that is like the correct ethics. But yeah, as far as whether we'd ever get there, it's not for me to say. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I have no idea. What do you think?
I agree with you on that. We had to get to a certain point with AI, and I don't know if we're actually going to get there.
It's really hard to say. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people just assume we will because of how quickly we're advancing, but you don't know where the ceilings are.
Sure, but if you had something
really
like,
hard to say.
let's just pull from science fiction though. If you had something like HAL 9000 on trial for his crimes, like, you know, he would have certain right. I think he would have certain. Well, I don't know that HAL would have certain rights. They may just dismantle him, saying you know you're an artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
like you may have
but I
done
mean, a
this
data
stuff,
would
like,
have rights,
right.
or you know, one of the machines from Alien would have rights. Yeah.
In iRobot,
Maybe.
they're subject to quote unquote execution.
Well, sure, and iRobot's an interesting scenario or a situation though, because part of the whole point of that is constantly asking the question about whether or not they even count as sentient beings, right? Because like there's, and I was going to say that too. There's that programming question where it's possible that we could get there and not even realize it, or not even know for sure if we were. I think the inverse is also true because we're also self-aware about science fiction concepts now that it's possible that we could create a thing that everybody assumes is self-aware and actually isn't. I think that's also possible.
It would pass the Turing test at that point, the flying colors.
Yeah, good point.
This is from Bella Ack.
Hi again.
He says, Captain James, what was the worst thing about Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Captain James, yeah.
I want to call you that now. Captain James.
It has its own kind of ring to it. I'm sorry, what was the question, DJ?
What was the worst thing about Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Oh man, there's so many contenders, and I have worked really hard.
And then he says, "Give me a 30-second rant." There's stipulations. Give me a 30-second rant about the worst thing about it. I don't watch it.
I have pushed that out of my mind so hard. He's not talking about the comics. He's talking, of course, about the CW 5-part crossover. Oh boy, I kind of want a minute because there's the really obvious thing, and then there's the other really obvious thing for me that I still don't think I can put on top. I don't think I can put the Smallville thing on top, even though it's way up there. I mean, it's bad, but I don't think I can say that's the worst thing. Man, I guess I'm gonna go with the obvious thing, but I'm sure if I watch it again, there's other stuff that I'm forgetting that bothered me even more. I mean, yeah, all kinds of stuff's coming to me right now, but yeah, I guess I have to say Kingdom Come Batman, and that's most people's answer. But like, how do you do that, right? Like, how do you get Kevin Conroy finally on screen and you make him the like evil despotic Batman who has no redeeming qualities whatsoever and isn't on screen long enough to even really develop, and it wouldn't matter if you did because it's clear enough that there's nothing to that guy except he is if Batman went totally bad, like, you know, he murdered the Joker and now he has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Yeah, no, it's atrocious. I don't know why. I am baffled constantly about the stuff in those shows that they expect the majority of people to actually enjoy. Like, I don't get it. It's like you would have to try. Some of the choices they make, it's like they're trying to make everyone angry. I mean, it really feels that way a lot of the time. I don't know how they do that. Kellen O'Rourke says Conroy actually loved doing that scene. Well, first of all, I mean, that may be true. I also could see him, you know, doing the PR thing. But Conroy has a tendency to kind of speak his mind, I think. So it's possible that if he said that right then, he could later on down the road be like, yeah, that was pretty bad, actually. But, you know, there's enjoying doing a thing, and then it's, you know, actually the thing you ought to have done. Like, I could see that being fun to play in a way it wasn't fun to watch. You know?
Yeah. Next up, we got another Batfleck question, but you've kind of already answered this, but you said it could happen. So, William Parcell, do you think they're wishing they'd waited a little longer to reboot the Batman film since Batfleck is staying around longer than they expected? Which is not the case.
No. But I don't, because part of the point of the multiverse thing is so that they can do different versions, or at least that's the way they're talking about it. It's like, this way, if we want to have some other version of Batman, we can. Pardon me, I honestly think part of the reason they're doing that is because it has been such a weird, tumultuous kind of journey for the last 7 years from Man of Steel to now, where they're finally putting out some movies that are performing. But I mean, like, look at all the backlash and stuff that they had to take to get there. If they have a multiverse and they're doing different versions of the same characters, they can put out a thing that everybody hates and go, okay, we just won't do that next time. You know, they never have to reboot. Or it depends on how you want to look at it. They either never have to reboot, or they can reboot all the time. It's the same thing, right? It's, okay, we have a universe of universes. That's what a multiverse is. And if we want to have...
At that point, it's just another version, right? Not
yeah, if we want to do a period version of this character this year and do a present-day version of this character next year, we can absolutely do that.
Victorian Batman.
Which is a thing. But,
is it? Oh.
Yeah. I mean... This will be a fun game to play at some point, Brandon. You start just throwing out weird Batman ideas, and I'll tell you where they happen. Okay. Yeah, Victorian Batman is Gotham by Gaslight. And well, is that Victorian? I guess that's technically later than Victorian, though, isn't it? I guess that's not quite Victorian.
Still, the fact that this is a thing is still intriguing to me.
Anyway, okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going, DJ.
All right. Captain James.
That's what I was thinking right before you said it.
Captain James.
Captain James.
It makes me sound like a pirate, though.
Yeah, Captain James T. Logan. TH1, the rule
I was thinking that
should
too.
still be
Robert said Brandon accidentally just came up with Gotham by Gaslight. And here's the thing. So Gotham by Gaslight is one of my favorite Elseworld stories. A lot of people love Gotham by Gaslight. It's not perfect. It's not long enough. And then they made the animated version, which is longer and not as good. With all the stuff that some of the stuff they tried to add was cool. The big twist at the end doesn't quite work, I don't think. But I'll show you that at some point.
So when they say gaslight, they literally mean like lights.
They don't fully have electricity. Right, yeah. So it's just Jack Batman versus Jack the Ripper.
That's what I was thinking when I said that. That was my original impetus for saying that, and like now that's a thing. So I'm gonna. I might be
periodically just throw out something that comes to you like that would be a cool Batman thing, and I'll tell you where they did it. Anyway, go ahead, DJ.
All right. Which one was I reading? TH1.
Sorry.
I love this night because all of TH1's super chats are like from forever ago. This one is the.
Is he still responding to stuff?
Yeah, he says the rule should still be the original theatrical.
For Marvel Mania. Yeah.
The first Mania.
Well, he agrees. We just go with the theatrical, and we're also doing non-theatrical stuff. So
here's the thing, though. No, that's never been the rule. The rule is we pick one. Like when we did BVS, we did the ultimate cut because it's the other one's not a complete cut. You know, if we did Watchmen, we wouldn't do the theatrical cut. Like right now, that doesn't fit in the Mania, but I'm just using that as an example. So if there were any Marvel movies that had way better director's cuts that people more or less think of as canonical, that's what we would go with. Deadpool is an interesting case because all three of those cuts are valid cuts, and they're all, I would argue, kind of, well, almost all equally good. I mean, I'm not going to say that the Christmas one is the one you should watch because the whole point of it was to make it PG-13, and so there's stuff that gets cut out of it that you kind of need for that movie. But if you've seen the movie already, it's a fun experience. It's a fun thing to do. I like it. But like I said, those that other cut that came out shortly after the theatrical cut has some story stuff that I wish they'd left in, or some establishing stuff especially, particularly having to do with the Essex school. I really wish they'd left that stuff in. But it also uses alternate takes where of ad-libs, because so much of that stuff is ad-libbed, much of which I didn't think was as funny as what was in the first version. A lot of it's good, but not as good, and so I still say that what you need is a cut where more of the jokes from the first version are there, and then it just puts back all the story stuff that the second one had in it that the first one didn't. So comedically, the problem with that second cut is that some of the best jokes are left out.
Yeah, and here's another Marvel Mania question next up from Game Station 3, but it's also I'll just let you answer it.
What's up?
Does Big Hero 6 count for Marvel Mania?
No.
No.
Not.
That would have been a long time ago.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody was asking me about this the other day. Sent me a message about it on Patreon. So I'll clear this up because apparently some other people are curious about it. Down the road, I'm sure I'll do I'll do a commentary on Big Hero 6. I've only seen that movie a couple times. Obviously, if we were doing it in a Mania, we'd be forced to do it, even if we don't know it very well. So that's not the main reason I'm not doing that. But I'm just saying that, like, I'd love to watch that again and then do a commentary, and down the road we'll probably do that. But the reason we're not doing it is because, A, if it counted before, we would have done it already. I mean, it's from a while back. But B, originally the rule was live-action movies that are either theatrical or direct-to-video, nothing from, no direct-to-video animated stuff, and nothing in... nothing television, and we just weren't doing animation. We're making an exception for Spider-Verse because it was such a big movie, and because DJ kind of wants to do it. So that's the only reason we're doing Spider-Verse. Like, Spider-Verse kind of also shouldn't count, but it's in this weird place where more adults watched that than I think would have bothered with something like Big Hero 6. Like, it's not even looked at as a kid movie. And I'm not saying we avoided kid movies either. We just weren't doing animation. We were doing live action stuff. So
well, and also Big Hero 6 isn't like a Marvel movie. It's not in the Marvel universe. It's like it's based on some Marvel. It's based on a Marvel property, but it's so far removed. It's not like
Yeah, but we're not only doing MCU either. I mean, we did Howard the Dog. You're gonna make the same case about that. Like Big Hero 6 was canonically, it is 616. Like, it's still Marvel.
But it's like based on those characters, but it's not straight up the Marvel characters. Like, it's pretty different.
That's true.
Yeah.
The same was true of Howard the Dog.
Well, I mean, they were at least trying to do the character. It was just they did it so weirdly. Lightning City. Cap, do you recommend the new Swamp Thing series?
I can't tell you because I haven't watched it yet. I still haven't gotten to that. I need to do that.
All right. TH1?
Wait a minute. So Jedi Knight wrote Robo Batman, and that got hidden. Why did that get censored? But Mutali wrote Stripper Batman, no problem.
Okay,
that's fine.
We're gonna do a whole show of this where people try to get things blocked.
Yeah, it's been really entertaining, but also I'm flabbergasted. I don't understand.
Robo Batman.
Why would that get blocked? I don't understand. Mutali wrote President. Mutali's cracking me up tonight. He's great.
All right. TH1, another callback to earlier. Disney Plus has Inhumans, so we can't use that excuse.
Good to know. Probably not on Marvel Mania, though. It's a loophole. Look, if it was really good, we'd probably go, oh, that loophole gives us an excuse to do it. Because it sucks, I'm inclined not to.
All right. John Ty, thoughts on the American copyright system affecting online content creators negatively?
Oh, man. I mean, this is a thing that we've touched on some before, but I mean, what else can I add? It's a problem. The big thing is, so we're talking about what, like the YouTube copyright thing. Is that primarily what we're talking about?
Yeah, he just says online content creators, so I guess anything.
It's not just YouTube. Obviously, that's my bread and butter, and so I think of that before I think of anything, and that's what affects me the most. But I mean, this affects t-shirt creators and people on Facebook. I've had videos blocked on Facebook for copyright. So I mean, the long and the short of it is, man, I'm going to sound really depressing when I say this. The long and the short of it is, at least right now, it just feels like the big companies have won, right? Like, that's where we're at. It's easy to bandy around double standard. It's like this almost across the board, though. The thing is, if you have enough pull and you're popular enough, and sometimes not even that. Sometimes really popular YouTubers still get their stuff demonetized when it should be perfectly legal and valid to post based on fair use. But some of those people even have some difficulties. But like the people that make YouTube the most money, the people that are kind of in the mainstream system now, where there's that really blurred line between independent content and mainstream content that's making like big wigs a lot of money. Those people aren't getting copyright violations because somebody needs them, and so they get to keep doing that. I have given up on it. I mean, I'm just to a place now where I either assume if I play something copyrighted that I'm going to get flagged or blocked, and I take that risk because I really wanna, or if it's something that I'm really hoping where I can't take the risk, or I'm hoping won't get flagged at all, I just don't do it, which is why Rewind's not going to have pictures anymore, and I hate that, and I'm still having a hard time not wanting to try to come up with some way around it, even if I get flagged but not blocked. Like, if I could make sure that Rewind never got blocked but got flagged a lot, I would put pictures back in, even if I never made a dime on ad revenue, just so they can look the way I want it to look. I mean the majority of my revenue doesn't come from ads anymore anyway. Rewind at one time was the thing that kind of paid the bills. It's not anymore. When I make rewinds, and I want to start doing that more often, and I've been talking about that's going to come back soon. Right now I'm working on a book and stuff, and so I haven't been putting those out much, but I'm going to be soon. You don't have to believe me, but I'm going to. And so that's like I still make them because I wanna, and because I know the audience likes them, and because it helps to attract folks in, new folks in to look at some of the other stuff. Like, there's a lot of reasons to make that show, but I can't rely on stuff that would absolutely necessitate fair use, using content from licensed properties. And yeah, it ain't fair. I ought to be able to do that. Everybody ought to be able to do that when it actually does count as fair use. And it's ridiculous that a lot of people are able to do that and get away with it, and I and other smaller local YouTube channels can't. It should not matter whether we're even making money. We should be able to do that. And it hurts the creative process. It really, really limits you. And yeah, there's the art over it, through adversity thing, but this gets ridiculous. If you can't use anything at all, and you're reviewing a thing where you just want people to be reminded of what was going on screen. So yeah, I'm making this all about Rewind now because it's just the place my head goes and the main thing that I'm dealing with that. But it's, I have a similar issue that a lot of other people have to deal with as well. So, I mean, yeah, it sucks. It's not fair, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. We all just have to learn to live with it. And it sucks, and I hate that, but... But yeah.
Sorry, you cut out on me there for a second. Last super chat I have is from William Parcell.
What's up?
He says, Do you think a bad but interesting film is more enjoyable than a film that's technically better but less interesting? Like Justice League is technically better than BVS, but BVS is more interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. In some ways, I guess I'd rather watch Justice League, but I'd rather talk about BVS. Does that make any sense? It's more interesting to noodle interest. I'm saying interesting a lot, but interesting failures than it is. Movies that are like really safe bets that, like you said, are technically better than some of those interesting failures, but are just so run-of-the-mill and dull and kind of standard. I definitely rather look at an interesting failure. Certainly.
Sweet, we did it.
Awesome. Right. We got through all the super chats. Brandon's falling asleep before we even get to After Dark.
I'm not falling asleep.
I'm just kidding.
I was falling asleep the other day, that's for sure.
No, I just mean not like physically falling asleep. I just mean you look so bored right now.
Oh no, I was listening to you because I was thinking the same thing.
You had your head in your phone for like 10 straight minutes.
Well, I got a text from my mom.
Done.
I tried to call her.
He was done. Well, you don't have to tell us who it was.
It was my mom.
Like, it's fine.
Well, William Parcell says people send in more super chats. He wants us to keep going.
Well, no, we should go ahead and get going because we got to get to After Dark. Yeah. So thanks everybody. A whole Bella Access. Thanks for all the announcements. Thanks for all the announcements, DJ.
Verbvolution.
So I think it was Mutale. I hate to credit somebody or the wrong person, so if it was somebody else, let me know. But I think it was Mutale who suggested that I do a 24-hour Captain Logan show, and I have been kicking around doing another 24-hour show. I did the marathon for TV shows back in February, pre-coronavirus.
Is that only February?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it, okay? I'm gonna say coronavirus. I'm not gonna say beer bug. It's coronavirus. Beer bug. Anyway,
that's funny. I hadn't heard that one.
Oh, I hate that.
I can understand that.
A lot of people on channels have been saying that in order to get around.
I've never heard of that either.
Well, it's like when broadcasters say the superb owl.
So what I'm considering doing is actually exactly what Mutali's talking about, because I've been kicking around different possibilities, and I'd love to do another marathon at some point. That was kind of a weird technical feat. We had some glitches and issues and stuff with that. I'm not saying I won't do it again, but. And I know it's been a little while now, but I'm a lot more inclined to do just a big Q&A thing, and maybe do the same thing we did last time, where I bring in some different co-hosts here and there throughout it. DJ, I'm not going to ask you to go an entire 24 hours. You just had a kid that was born. I'm sure you wouldn't be able to do that, but I'm kicking it around. I might do that, and just bring in different people to help me read questions and talk about whatever.
A 24-hour Captain Logan show. That would be insane. I could just pop in for my two 2-hour segments. if we do for the two days in a row.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just think it's a good idea.
Good.
Oh man, that's awesome! Thank you so much. We just got a $4.99 super chat from Igis or Igis. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Comics Alaska, and I will immediately go check out your website if you have one. See what your store looks like. They say we started our shop after watching Midwestern panels. Thank you. That's so cool. Very neat.
That's really cool.
Very neat.
Holy cow.
Glad you enjoyed the documentary. Good luck with your shop. And so you say you started it afterwards. Was it recently or was it shortly after? Because the movie's been out for 5 years now.
Yeah, let us know. I'm so glad he made it on the stream before it ended.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, congrats. That's very cool. Man, I have really, really fond memories of that trip.
Same.
Brandon, we should do a maybe for After Dark, maybe for the channel, but we should finally sit down and do a commentary on it.
Yeah.
Because I've been kicking that around for a long time. We didn't put one on the DVD. We never actually sat down and did it. We did it for Spawn Year, but we didn't do it for them.
Yeah.
Well, the special edition DVD, it'll be on there.
That will never get made.
10 years.
No, don't say that. Stop announcing things. What, say again?
Can we get Vince for the...
We may be able to get Vince for that. But
if not, I'm still down.
But I'm just saying, at some point, I'd like to do that.
No, Brandon's like, no Vince, no Brandon.
Yeah,
what?
I mean,
no.
Solidarity.
I mean, I'll invite him. I just, he's busy.
He's busy, that's right.
Anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it. We're going to be back in 15 minutes. So it is 8:35 right now. We'll be back at 8:50. That's how math works. Central time for Captain Logan After Dark. It's going to be me and these guys. So if and we'll be talking about stuff we don't usually talk about on the channel. We will open it up for questions like we do on this show too, but even more open-ended and random and crazy. You can make me uncomfortable if you want to, and I'll be doing
literally anything.
I'll be doing a little karaoke. We're gonna do some trivia. DJ, we're gonna do some Ninja Turtles trivia tonight.
Sweet.
And I am also, even though some of you guys will be able to guess what it is because DJ kind of told you already if you were paying attention. I'm gonna read.
No one said anything about it, so I think I'm in the clear.
I'm gonna read an excerpt from the thing I'm working on After Dark tonight as well. I'm gonna let you guys hear some of it. So it is a first draft. Things could change, and in fact, I'm probably just gonna read from the beginning. So a lot of what's there, or not a lot of, but I know of at least one thing that has to change because there's one thing that I didn't develop enough that gets developed later that I'm like, oh, well, that's got to get added. I've not done that yet, so I mean, it will change. Or maybe I'll read someplace else. I've not decided yet, but I am going to read for 10 or 15 minutes from the book I'm working on. Book in air quotes. What's up?
The beginning is the very best place to start.
Generally speaking, yeah. So everybody check it out. Professor Zoom 21. What about Superhero Rewind Cap? I am not promising when exactly it's coming back. I just can't do that. But like I said, I'm focused real hard on this book right now. I'm writing more reviews these days. But so the good news is, some of the stuff that I'm writing right now, some of the reviews I'm putting out are reading kind of like rewinds. A couple of people have said that the Die Hard review I just did is basically a rewind. It's kind of like an earlier one because it's shorter, but I mean, I just did a 20-minute written Die Hard review. It's essentially a short rewind. So I mean, check it out. I'm writing some stuff that's rewind-esque right now, but I haven't put out any new superhero rewinds yet.
Your reviews are following in the steps of...
Kind of, sort of. I don't know. It's just, I get analytical. I can't help myself. Okay, so anyway, 15 minutes. So a little past 8:50 now. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you again next time. I was Captain Logan. That is Brandon Grimm. That is DJ Martinez. Patreon.com/Geekvolution if you want to check us out here in a few minutes, and we'll see you then. Bye, folks. I didn't get the salute right. Hang on, I'm the salute, and then salute,
before you did
and then I'll jump back. So salute, and then all right.
Oh man!
Later, folks. I'm sorry. Do you have something to say?
No. After Dark talk.
Later, folks.